Week 1 NFL preview, Jets 49ers. It's the Monday night game. You have two teams that are very talented. Two teams, if they remain healthy, you would expect them to make the playoffs. You look at the Jets, they needed a quarterback last year. They were a very good defensive team. They have talent. And it sorely hurt when Aaron Rodgers went down. The 49ers lose the Super Bowl in overtime to the Chiefs. They lose the Chiefs in the Super Bowl for a second time. That's 2 times in 5 seasons that they lose to the Chiefs. The 49ers are hosting this game. As a 49ers fan, I prefer them to play Sunday. The only time I wouldn't want them to play Sunday, week 1, is if they had won the Super Bowl and they get to host the opening kickoff, the first game of the NFL season. But of course, since that didn't happen, at least at the very latest, give me a Sunday night game. I don't like the Monday night game. But the NFL, on the other hand, I give them credit for really attempting to give us a good game for Monday Night Football. 49ers and Jets, and the biggest question coming into this game is what kind of Aaron Rodgers is going to be out there in the field, because he's 41 years old and he's coming off missing the entire season. He didn't play any preseason. You can only go off what reporters tell you, but how good is Aaron Rodgers going to be? I mean, when Aaron Rodgers was in his prime, he was one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game. I mean, think whatever you want about him and the things he says or what he does off the field. This is one of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of the game. A 4-time MVP, a Super Bowl MVP. For a player who's played as long as he has, there's no one who has a better touchdown interception ratio. Super accurate, could make all the throws. Underrated athleticism and mobility. To me, Rodgers could be one of the few greats that I would say who could play in any era of football. And that's what makes him an all-time great. I mean, there's a short list of quarterbacks. If I was going to make my top 10 list, he's definitely in the top 10. I'm only picking 5 quarterbacks in history ahead of Rodgers. And this is my top 5. I have Brady, Montana, Peyton Manning, and just saying this, in my opinion, Eli Manning's not a Hall of Fame quarterback. He'll get in, of course, but he's not a Hall of Fame quarterback. Let's start over again. Brady, Montana, Manning, Unitas, Mahomes, and then Aaron Rodgers. Those are my top 6 quarterbacks in NFL history. What can you possibly expect, though, at age 41, coming off a complete season that he missed? I mean, he only was in there for a short few plays, and when he got hurt, who was the one there to take him down was Leonard Floyd, who is now with the 49ers, and that was also a Monday Night Football game. They will be playing on the grass surface in Santa Clara, not San Francisco. These are two teams that have a great deal of talent, and two teams that are going to attempt to be balanced when attacking these defenses. Breece Hall is a very good young running back. On the other side, you have Christian McCaffrey, who's banged up but plans to play. You have a quarterback in Aaron Rodgers who's at the end of his career. Brock Purdy's at the beginning of his career. You know, there's been a lot of criticism and a lot of analysts, experts, if you want to call them that criticize and really try to knock down Brock Purdy. And when I talk about Brock Purdy, I'm always honest and upfront and say this almost every time. Even as a 49ers fan, I will defend Brock Purdy. But the reality is that he has one of the greatest supporting casts in football. Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, and Trent Williams is blocking his blind side. You have to bring that up. But when it comes to performance, all he's done is won. He just wins. And you look at the first 2 seasons of a quarterback, and they're not even 2 full seasons. The only other player that had this much success this fast was Colin Kaepernick. Kaepernick in 2012 came in, didn't have a full season, and reached the Super Bowl in year 1. In year 2, he made it to the conference championship game. Brock Purdy did not have a full season in his first season. That was 2022. The 49ers reached the conference championship game. Hey, if he didn't get injured, they may have made it to the Super Bowl. They may have made it to the Super Bowl 2 years in a row, and Eagles fans may not like that, but if they rule that the Devontae Smith drop, as we saw, was indeed a drop instead of a catch, and Brock Purdy doesn't get hurt, I wouldn't be surprised the 49ers would have won in Philadelphia. But anyway, they lose in the conference championship, but get to the Super Bowl in his first year as a full starter. Say what you want, that is a great start of a career. He's still very young. There's no reason to think he can't get better. He didn't even have a real offseason last year. Anyway, he came back from a terrible injury. He has a Pro Bowl season. He was one of the best regular seasons a 49er quarterback has ever had. This was his first true off-season as the starter and having a regular off-season. Why can he not improve? Receivers, there's talent on both sides. I mentioned the ones for the 49ers already, but the Jets, they have Wilson, they have Lazard. There's talent for the Jets. And defensively, it's very interesting as well, because you go back to the 2019 draft. Who were the 2 best defensive linemen in that draft? At least when you're talking about the draft and when everyone was saying, well, who the 49ers should take with the number 2 pick. And yes, most said it should be Nick Bosa, and I believe Nick Bosa was the correct pick. But the other player that there was a little debate about was, well, should they take Quentin Williams instead? And the 49ers and Jets both got great players. They're 2 very different players. I mean, Bosa is your edge rusher. Quinn Williams is an interior lineman. Both are very disruptive. I mean, Bosa was a star player the moment he came in the league. Quinn Williams has taken longer to develop, but he's turned into a great player himself. Now that Aaron Donald's retired, I mean, how many tackles would you take ahead of Quentin Williams? Chris Jones? That would probably be about it for me that I would take over Quentin Williams. Then with Bosa, he's always in the conversation among the best edge rushers in football. And he's already won the Defensive Rookie of the Year. He's won a Defensive Player of the Year. As long as he stays healthy, he's a Hall of Fame player. So both teams got great players for their defensive lines. And defense is certainly a strength for both teams. No question here that you have that with the 49ers and Jets. But another thing to consider in this game is that it's not only the players on the field. And we will get back to a prediction for the game, but it's the head coaches, because you have Kyle Shanahan, who is under as much pressure as any coach in the league to win a Super Bowl now, though I don't think he's in any danger of losing his job anytime soon. They've come so close. And then Robert Saleh, who was the defensive coordinator here in San Francisco. He was the defensive coordinator when the 49ers reached Super Bowl 54. And he is a good defensive coach. Who do I like in this game? Well, I'm going to go with the 49ers, as long as they play a good, clean game, that they're not turning the football over and they make life challenging in this game for Rodgers. They have to take the Jets very seriously, because this is a team that has talent on offense, on defense. I think they can be balanced. And the thing for the Jets is they don't need Aaron Rodgers to even be the quarterback he was 4 or 5 years ago. If he is the quarterback, or even close to the quarterback he was in 2022, oh, they would just be thrilled with that. It doesn't have to be prime Rodgers, because they have a running game and a defense. They just need something better than inept, incompetent quarterback play. Then they should be a playoff team, and I don't see any reason why, with a healthy Rodgers who is solid and reliable, who has some big play potential, why can't they win the division? The Bills are down. I still have a lot of concerns with the Dolphins. The Jets could very well win the division. For the 49ers, it's Super Bowl or bust. It's that simple. Super Bowl or bust. But the reason why I'm taking the 49ers in this game is because, with an offense and Rodgers, he hasn't had the time in preseason or in game to be on the same page with the rest of his team. Where's the chemistry? I don't think they've had an opportunity for that. And when you look at the 49ers on the other side too, you have to think about Trent Williams being out and Brandon Ayuk being out. At least you can say they've had a week or so together and they played together. The defenses are both good, and I think the defenses are going to be ahead of the offenses. So I like a low-scoring game, something like 2017, 24-21 at the highest. But I like more of a 2017 in this particular game. 2017 49ers, 3 or 4 point victory at home. And even if Christian McCaffrey isn't quite himself, the 49ers have Jordan Mason. And Jordan Mason could be a starter on a lot of football teams. He's very good, and I've always been asking for, give me more Mason. I want more Mason. I've never had enough Mason. And they should be cautious with McCaffrey. When the 49ers have the football, there's no bigger matchup to watch than Ayuk versus Sauce Gardner. Will Gardner follow Ayuk around? Or will he be on Debo? I would think he's going to be on Ayuk for this one. So with that being a real possibility and McCaffrey being somewhat banged up, who needs to have a big game? Kittle and Debo, and that means Debo is not only a receiver, but as a runner too. The 49ers have always had Rodgers' number when they've been a good team. I mean, the only real exception I can think of is the 21 Sunday night game where they lost to the Packers here. Otherwise, the 49ers have owned Aaron Rodgers. Jets are looking on defense to force turnovers and to, I think, shut down the run. I think it's more important for the 49ers to be balanced than the Jets because of what the Jets have in the secondary. Though the 49ers have the best secondary that they've had under Kyle Shanahan. For the 49ers defense, I'm concerned about the run defense. And if they don't tighten that up, and I don't know what to expect out of this new defensive line because Hargrave was hurt and his strength is not stopping the run. You don't have Dre Greenlaw in there. I'm concerned about Campbell. I think Campbell is not... He's a big drop-off from Dre Greenlaw. A really big drop-off. So I say when the 49ers have the ball, the big matchup is Ayuk versus Gardner. And then they're going to try and go after the Jets linebackers if they can. Not that they're exactly a weakness. And then on the other side, it's Rodgers versus Fred Warner. And you want to talk about two smart football players. Rodgers, we already said, top 10 quarterback of all time. And Fred Warner's one of the smartest middle linebackers you're going to see. That's a big matchup in this one. And because it's going to be a close game, special teams could really matter. Special teams. Who kicks the best between the 49ers and Jets? The run defense concerns me for the 49ers. And even if the 49ers, when they have the ball, don't run it super effectively, let's see some creativity out of Shanahan. He's had a whole off season. You have so many weapons. I'd like to see George Kittle get involved early. And a big play or two from Deebo Samuel and no special teams blunders. And historically speaking, 49ers and Jets, if you want to go back and think of openers, 1998. Where you saw the two teams at Candlestick Park week 1. And for 49er fans, it was a very memorable game. I reference this often when we're going back doing historical reviews, uniform reviews, whatever it might be. It was the overtime win with the Garrison-Hurst run. That was an all-time great 49ers week 1 victory. A bit of a sloppy game, but what a finish. So we'll see what we get between the 49ers and Jets Monday Night Football. Why don't we talk about the two opening games first? Chiefs and Ravens. Oh, the Ravens had opportunities, and it is a game of inches, and the little mistakes they made were magnified. Justin Tucker missing that field goal. The Isaiah Likely touchdown that wasn't a touchdown because his foot was on the line. You know, not being able to take advantage of some of the mistakes that the Chiefs made. I mean, the Chiefs weren't as sharp as they could be as it was set after the game. They played a B- game. You know, Mahomes threw a pick. Lamar didn't, and they still lost the game. Lamar's final numbers looked very good, but still, he's not Patrick Mahomes. As great as he is, all that he can do as a runner and having a pretty good game as a passer still wasn't good enough. And Ravens fans, I know your pain as a 49ers fan. So close, not good enough. Almost got him. Packers, Eagles. I feel the Packers should have won that game. I mean, Eagles, I mean, there's no question they have a lot of talent on both sides of the ball, and they put so much around Jalen Hurts. We threw 2 picks. I think there's enough reasons to be concerned if I'm an Eagles fan. Yeah, you get the week 1 victory. You can play better yourselves. But Jalen Hurts, he still has a lot to prove. It was 1 victory, okay. But the Packers left a lot of points on the field, and we'll learn what the extent of this MCL injury is for Jordan Love. The Packers should have won. Settled for too many field goals. They were in the red zone early, and they didn't get it in. I do like Jordan Love better than Jalen Hurts. Jordan Love is what I like in a quarterback. He's tall, he's athletic, he can make every throw on the field, he can make it look easy, excellent arm strength, good accuracy. He needs experience. He still needs experience. He needs to clean some things up. He needs to eliminate some of the mistakes, but the talent is all there. So Packers fall 0-1. Eagles go 1-0 to start. Saquon Barkley looked good. He looked good in the first game, and that's good news for the Eagles. We'll see how he holds up for the rest of the season. The big games on Sunday that I'm looking out for, that I'll be watching, that Cowboys at Browns game. That's an afternoon game. Jim Harbaugh debuts for the Chargers, and then that Sunday night, Lions hosting the Rams.